room, shake the room. All right.
Hello and welcome on into this Monday's edition of Entertainment News here at MBE. That's Movie Burner Entertainment. I'm one of your co-hosts, Stephen John McLaughlin. Our other co-host, John Christopher Walsh, is here too. He is the man with his finger on the pulse. Nothing works without John being here. That's what I'm saying. So it's not a case of, and John's here as well.
Try me doing.
But anyway, just like to thank you for joining us here on our YouTube channel. And of course, our Twitch stream. And of course, our Spotify podcast if you're listening in on that. Now, John, when I isolate the sound for the podcast, our little intro sounds very, very tinny. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I just don't know why it does that, but
I would just cut it out, Stephen, and just do the music fade thing you did for your little test one, because I think that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Just try to pick the right song.
This is episode 3 of the Movie Burner Entertainment Podcast.
Podcast.
We'll think of something.
Hello and welcome to the Movie Burner. I'm your host. The review. I'm running on empty. Who I'm talking about? Well, hello everyone, and welcome back into review of the week or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back into review of the week. I'm your host, running on empty.
I'll tell you something, man.
What a guy.
He's got a gimmick there, and it's working.
The
suit, everything. Can you imagine us in suits trying to do reviews?
With cravats.
Yeah.
That are, the suits that are about 2 sizes too big for him.
Yeah.
He's so painfully skinny.
Yeah, but he wears a suit regardless of what he's eating. He could be eating a Big Mac and he'll still wear the suit.
Do you not think it gives you vibes of like a sort of Gordon meets Crispin Glover vibe? You know what I'm talking about? He's kind of you don't know, he's weird, but he's cool.
John, you've been watching him for years since he was a kid. But I don't know his name. I don't know the chap's name.
I don't know his name either.
But
Review bra.
Yeah, you've been watching him for
a long time.
Yeah, a good decade, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
You introduced me to him, and I do love watching
I discovered him by chance. The algorithm brought him my way.
Yeah.
As I feel like it did most people who watch his channel.
Yeah. John, we don't really talk about who we watch on YouTube and stuff like that.
Matt Armstrong, just watched him there.
Yeah,
great.
I was watching Joe Rogan. It was a Hulk Hogan one I was watching.
Yeah, talking about The Rock.
Yeah, it was like multiple clips. It wasn't like
one
episode all clipped like we do. But
I watch him on Spotify as well. I think Joe's unbelievable. Yeah. Still got an hour to go in that episode.
Yeah,
there's an episode with 2 renowned journalists who love their sort of UFO, UAP stuff.
I've been watching Jolly. Recently, but I've been watching their other channel. It's the Korean one, the English Korean, the Korean Englishman or something like it's called.
I've not seen that. I need to look at that. Jolly are great.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Again, just let me love and live for the food.
Yeah,
and you can tell when they're eating.
Oh, they went to a Texan barbecue. I'm telling you, wow, the brisket. Wow,
I'm telling you, man.
That's all I'm going to say.
I think you went to Popeyes at one point as well, but I know it may have been Chick-fil-A, but the Parisian Michelin star restaurant where they were just getting served all these desserts, I was there with them, living vicariously. I'm like, their reactions, the way they're shutting their eyes after each spoonful, that is me.
Yep, it is.
That is me.
That's a passion. That's a passion for food.
I just love food.
And another one of your passions is movies, film.
It is.
And entertainment in general, isn't it? We all like to know what's happening in the world of entertainment, John. And we're going to move over to to the east for this piece of news, John. Jawan. This is one we've been keeping our eyes on since we've kind of went down the sort of Shah Rukh Khan sort of rabbit hole, if you like, since that's I think the start of the year. We've been watching all the promotions on this. We've watched the trailers and posters. We've talked about a couple of weeks ago that magnificent poster with the 5 different faces. This is just coming in from BollywoodLife.com.
And not a great website. I think it was Body of Christ,
Holiday for Life. That's just the way I say life.
Sentence you to life.
Yes.
Life imprisonment in which there will be no bail.
The headline, John, is a very intriguing headline.
Look at this website.
Yeah, I know.
Holy shit.
I nearly gave up on it in the iPad because I wasn't getting any text at all, John. But the headline does say Jawan, Shah Rukh Khan's new movie creates history. Theatres see 5 a.m. shows for the first time for a Bollywood movie, ? Are you asking the question? Well, the question, you talking to me? But anyway, Jawan is the movie that has got all film lovers and the trade super excited. Shah Rukh Khan has joined forces for the first time with Atlee, the hitmaker from the south. The filmmaker has made movies like Biggle, Mercil and Terry. Jawan is slated to open at nothing less than 65 crores on the first day in the Indian market. Tamil Nadu and Kerala are seeing huge bookings for the film. Other cities like Hyderabad, Kolkata and Patna are leading in the east side. Now it's official that shows of Jawan will start at 5 a.m. This has never happened before for any Bollywood movie. Shah Rukh Khan has been one of the main stars who have revitalised even the smaller theatres of India, with Pathan of late. Even Sunny Deol and Gadar too helped the business. And John, 5 a.m. Do you know something? I've never been to any cinema any earlier than probably 10 a.m. I think that's the earliest I've been.
I think the earliest I've ever been in a theatre, Stephen, is probably 1 in the afternoon.
I can't. We did go and see
11 p.m. maybe.
I think a Star Wars movie. I can't
quite
remember.
Early.
It was but I think it was about 10, 11. It wasn't too early, wasn't it?
That was The Force Awakens.
Yeah,
it was about 11 a.m. Stephen, it's crazy, but what it does, there's more to in this actual article. There's like tweets and stuff.
We'll get to that, yeah.
But it just shows you again the draw of this guy.
Yeah.
Of Shah Rukh. This is his second movie back after his 4-year hiatus. And he's just making history again. No movie on the Indian subcontinent, by all accounts, based on, well, maybe in the north, more specific. He's making history in Bollywood.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's a Collywood or a Tollywood or some other region in India that has had a movie release in the theatres at 5 a.m. It's almost guaranteed telepathy. For instance, down south has released a huge hit and people have been there in the wee small hours of the morning to watch it. But for the north of India, this guy continues to make history.
Yeah.
5 a.m. showings, mind-blowing. And it shows you how hugely anticipated this movie is.
Yeah.
That people are willing to go that early and sit in a theatre and watch it. Steve, I'm just going to my bed not long before that. Although that's about to change. Last night I went at 3 a.m.
Wow.
I'm starting to bring it back earlier.
Yeah. Still dark.
It's still dark, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been dark for about a month now. Even when I was going
it's getting there, isn't it?
The back
you can see
of
it at night. 8:30 at night, it's dark.
Fucking rubbish.
Going to get worse.
It is going to get worse and quick. Don't depress me, Steve.
John, I can imagine 5 a.m. in the morning.
My time of the
now,
year.
John, as we've seen in many a film and web series, Indian breakfast. Let's talk about food here. Indian breakfast does look incredible, doesn't it?
It does, and what depends on obviously which echelon in society you actually are situated in, because obviously we've seen that in the likes of Class, and dare I say it, Made in Heaven, where they have more traditional Western style breakfasts, like your porridges and your granolas and stuff like that. But we have seen in the likes of Family Man, where they are making the sort of traditional Indian, not English.
Yeah.
No one wants to eat a traditional English breakfast unless you are morbidly obese and want a heart attack. If you're going to eat a traditional style breakfast like that, then it has to be an Irish or Scottish breakfast.
Yeah. We're talking about parathas though, aren't we?
Parathas, Parotas.
Parota, yeah.
Maybe. Actually, no, it's a paratha. Same thing, Stephen, really.
It looks incredible though. And
but it's like those thick gravies they use, and the tea is just, I'm going to search up the actual recipe for an Indian tea.
Are you talking about?
Because it's got the likes of star anise, I think, in it, and some other things.
Chai tea?
Chai tea. I think you actually called one. Had cloves.
Yeah.
Cloves in it, so it's lightly spiced.
Yeah. Oh,
so I want to try.
I could actually go that just now because it is very humid here at the moment.
It is.
And I think something like that would actually be it would help. But I'm just picturing, John, a day in the life of your Joe Blogs in India.
Yeah.
Maybe setting out at 5 a.m. in the morning, maybe pick up something to eat, maybe make something to eat just before you head out, like we tend to do, don't we? Sometimes we leave it to afterwards, but just
that when you were talking about Force Awakens, me and Kevin
breakfast
gave me a totem and I got a Big Mac.
Yes, I forgot about that.
I fucking lost it.
Yeah,
at like 10:30 in the morning, and then I had a Starbucks afterwards, and it was glorious. That's what life's all about, Stephen. It's about moments like this.
Yep.
Going and watching big event films in the theatres with like-minded people, the food, everything, making it an event, making it a day.
It does,
That's what it's
because you
all about.
remember it. You remember everything about the day because you do sort of plan it. And we did it for the Batman as well.
Yeah.
I think that was an early showing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and I think I always remember coming right out there. I think you get you were going to get a Five Guys, but don't know what happened, but you didn't.
I screwed with my
But
bank.
I was waiting outside and I was talking to Gianni because we
Yeah.
were planning, obviously, doing the review. I
was so disappointed with that. I tried to get a cheeseburger and a
What
large
happened?
chips, and I tried to get a cheese toast as well. I didn't have enough money in my
All
bank.
right, I thought you just changed your mind. All right.
I underestimated just how much money I had in my bank,
right, okay.
and I went overdrawn.
Yeah, you should have made yourself a homemade paratha.
Fucking raging. Never again. This is what happens when you live life like I live it, and you just are scattergun and completely, shambolic.
I think I was too involved in the conversation with Gianni at that point. I think that's probably why I totally didn't pick up on it. I just thought he's changed your mind.
Well,
I
three
thought
times.
you went in and came back out.
No, but I was
like, what
raging,
happened
Steve,
there?
because it happened like 3 times. I get rejected. I'm like, come on, you fucking bastard! I want this burger. I want to try this cheese toasty. They saved me though. They saved me. It was still a great day. Ultimately,
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it was brilliant, and that's what going to the theatres is all about. And maybe not a 5 a.m. showing.
yeah.
That's a little early for me. But Stephen,
Is there
what-
any film that you've seen, John, or in the past, or anything upcoming that you would
No.
show up at 5 a.m. for?
No.
No.
no, I love film
Yeah,
and I love going to the theatres.
you just know
but
where to draw the line.
I'm
yeah.
not going at 5 a.m. I may go at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
I've been in theatres and come
Yeah,
out at
I
like
did
1 in the
that,
morning.
Yeah. I did that for what was that again? The one of the fella was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. What was that called again?
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah, it was the Indian Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah, Slumdog Millionaire.
Was that Dev Patel?
Yeah, 11 p.m. showing and didn't get out till after 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's good though.
That was pre-kids days, obviously, so
Yeah.
can't do that now.
No, but Stephen, that's the beauty. I don't see why theatres don't, or exhibitors over here don't offer that. Obviously, you'd have to, if people working the night shift and stuff like that to make it happen, but
Yeah.
just sort of often,
They'll be in the best of moods.
they're always in the best of moods, let's be honest. Fucking moody bastards. But as well, just bringing AI in just now and getting rid of them.
Yeah, well, we're nearly there. Yeah,
We are
you're
nearly
turning
there.
up and you've already got your tickets.
Yeah, exactly. Just scan
We've
the
already
little code.
done away with the sort of ticket office, so...
But I don't know why they don't offer this sort of greater number of screenings for your early birds and for your sort of night owls. Just offer greater. I don't know.
John,
Choice
I'm
of
just
times.
amazed that this is the first film that this has happened, and that with
Yes,
obviously
certainly.
that studio.
But I mean, Stephen, we already know,
That region,
we've
film
watched the
region.
likes of Punchayet, that a lot of rural settings in India, they're up very, very early. Like, I remember pure Abhishek, I think it was.
Yeah.
I always want to say Abhilash. He just was, it was like a,
Abusham.
Abusham, it was like a fish out of water.
Yeah,
His first couple of days, he was getting woke up at 9 a.m. and they were saying, "Are you okay?"
yeah.
I think it was Vikas
That
was
was the
saying,
middle
"Are
of the
you
day for
okay?"
them, yeah.
They've already been up 4 hours and he's like just getting out of his bed. So we know in certain areas of India, the rural regions,
Yeah.
they're up very early. They're still in tune with sort of nature and just a more simple existence compared to like people who live in a city. They're at race and it's like fucking 9 to 5, up at 7, going to your bed at a certain time. That's drilled into thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. So, yeah, I mean, look, you would know that exists. So I don't understand why it's not happened before either. A very early showing, because we know for a huge chunk of the populace in India that they do get up fucking very early. But maybe it's just, Stephen, it takes a movie like this, doesn't it, to really draw out a big name like Shah Rukh can
I was going to say that.
to make it,
Yeah.
I don't know, more accessible. He's the driver here. If you've got some shit kicker no one's ever heard of, bring the movie out. No one's going to go to the theatres and see it at 5 a.m. because there's no real need. There's no real... What's the word I'm looking for? There's a word I'm looking for. It's applicable to like the housing market just now. Not buzz. Demand. There's a lot of demand. That's it. To go and see this movie. And maybe not enough showing, so they're opening it up. and
John,
allowing it to be
I
more
was just looking at the release here. Obviously,
It's coming out in 4 days.
here in the
3
UK.
days.
And I think it's the same. I think it's a worldwide release because I can't see another. It was planned for release for the 2nd of June, so it should have been out by now.
Yeah.
It's postponed due to unfinished post-production work, which is I think that's quite a normal thing these days anyway.
Do you not fancy going and seeing this in the theatres?
I do, John. I do.
Need to get
2 hours and 45 minutes, which is pretty standard. That's quite a short Indian film actually for what we've seen.
Need to get don't do that too much. You need to get portable mics. Need to get
Make gestures to the viewers. Yes.
We need to get sort of portable microphones so we can actually sit outside and discuss it.
Yeah,
like a pair of spivs.
Stevie and Hamish.
Yeah,
John. Atlee. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Biggle, Mersal, and Terry.
Yeah, he's what we telepathy.
What ones have we seen? We've seen Mersal, haven't we?
Mersal. We've not seen Biggle.
I don't know. I think maybe Ruth might have said it's not that good.
Biggle was the sports one, wasn't it? It was the one where telepathy had the grey hair.
Is he got an orange top or something? It's like I can't remember.
Yeah, but he definitely has a suit and he's got grey hair.
Yeah.
So we've definitely not seen Biggle. We've seen Terry or Ferry, however you say that, Terry. We've seen Mersal for sure.
Yeah.
We've seen fucking nearly every telepathy movie, let's be honest.
Yeah.
At this point. So we know what we're getting in terms of the directing.
Yep.
We know that the Peak is coming back for a cameo. Yeah. I think she is anyway.
Yeah.
Is this the one with VJ Sephipafi's playing a character in it? Or am I just making that up again? Because I'm just obsessed with VJ Sephipafi.
Telepathy's in it, isn't he?
Telepathy.
He's doing a cameo.
It's not VJ Sephipafi, it's Telepathy VJ. Yeah. That's the other way around, John. That's a different name.
Yeah.
But yeah,
different chap.
Totally different guy. You were just speaking about him, John.
Yeah.
Arthur Talkspot. I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to it. This would be the second movie we've seen of Shah Rukh's. And just seeing the sort of nuances.
Big fans.
Yeah. Steve,
we are big fans.
To be fair, we've went down a rabbit hole with Danush, Surya, Telepathy VJ Sephipafi, Ranjinikanth, Amir Khan.
And we are planning to see more films once we're out of
this dodgy period.
I'm
going to bring this up. I don't know if it will look right in dual web capture, but it's tweets, and it's sort of more information from X. It's not tweets. What is it, an X? Because we're not allowed to say Twitter anymore, are we? It's fucking X
it's just
now.
a post now, isn't it?
Because Lemond was talking about that. People saying X.
It says view tweet as well, but actually when you're posting on it now, it doesn't say tweet. It just says post. So
it's very bland.
Yeah.
Wants to just fuck off.
It's a bland.
Go back to
face.
Making your electric cars, mate, and try to get us to Mars.
Get your ass to Mars.
Stay away from social media.
Yeah.
It's a toxic haven. Just let it get back to the way it was. Saying that, I mean,
it certainly is. Yeah.
Some things I do agree with. Culling of certain unneeded staff members that just can not serve any purpose other than pushing political views and tribalism. It's just we've got enough of that in everyday life. We don't need it getting fucking pushed in the upper echelons of the Twitter executive. So he killed them, and that's one thing I actually do agree with. So fair play. Hipster though, hipsterific. What a name.
Yeah.
What a profile picture. Guy's looking dapper. Looks like he's a doctor or an extra from Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah. I can't really tell whether he's wearing a long white coat. I think he's got a stethoscope, so you may be right, Stephen.
Also Shah Rukh Khan.
Does look like Shah Rukh Khan, doesn't it? But it's not.
No.
2.6L tickets. I don't know what that means. Is that litres? Lakh? 2.6 lakh tickets. I know it's not litres. Take the piss. So for day one in PIC, we'll be crossing 3 lakh by tonight, and then should be crossing Patan in the last 2 days of advances. Wow. So in advance sales alone, it's already crossing the Patan number.
John, but I think Shah Rukh Khan needed Patan to happen first. They needed that. This was the comeback, the safe film, the one that a lot of people would think, well, it's not that great, it's not Shakespeare or anything like that. Yeah. It's an all-out action film. But I think just the reintroduction of this fantastic movie star actor who's obviously been away from the limelight for a few years. I don't think people appreciate, or I don't think people really will realise how important a film Jawan is for until maybe a few years from now. It's the sort of rebirth, if you like, of SRK's film career.
It's potentially a new era as well. He's an older man. I mean, he's not playing characters that are synonymous with older gentlemen, to be fair. It's not like he's playing characters. We've got Zimmer frames. I mean, he's not that old to start with, but you know what I mean? He's playing like sort of Tom Cruise style action hero characters. Certainly in Patan. I don't know about Jawan. This looks like a multi-character performance. Yeah. Overseas pre-sales, Stephen. I mean, it's doing momentous money. Sales, USA 450k. It's a fucking foreign language film. Outside of us, maybe not get as great a word of mouth and sort of anticipation and the sort of general sheeple. So for it to do 450k in pre-sales, if the word of mouth's good, you could see another triple R situation here.
Yeah.
135k Australian dollars, 95k euros in Germany, 175k here. Middle East, I think that is nearly 400,000, 355,000. You round that up, come on, that's what you're doing, maths. It's not how it works in money though. New Zealand, it's doing good money, Stephen. I mean, the pre-sales are there. It's doing really good business in India to the point where they're opening up unprecedentedly, sort of, is that even a word? I don't know. Unprecedented early showings of the movie, 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Buzz is there in foreign markets as well, international markets. You can see, man, it's this is why when people were criticising Shah Rukh Khan for Pathan and him coming back and doing sort of lowest common denominator action movies, this was their words, not mine. I actually liked the film quite a bit.
Yeah.
They were criticising him and saying that, I mean, look, you're just using, it's just your sort of stature, your brand, your platform that's pushing this movie, and you're pushing political views. It was all this shit. It was during this political storm, which is still happening now, sort of religious thing that's going on over in India. They were attacking everybody. I remember people attacking Shah Rukh as well, saying that it was just his stature that was making this movie a success. It was nothing to do with the actual film, yada yada. It's fucking bollocks, because you can see this is a second movie, and once again, it's doing unbelievable business. It may be the power of Shah Rukh Khan, but I think it's just, you need figures like this, Stephen, even in Western cinema. I was talking about Leonardo DiCaprio, Martin Scorsese, guys like that in Western cinema, guys like Chris Nolan, Tarantino, figureheads, bring a movie out, it's an event movie, it gets people in theatres to watch it, it drives the industry, it drives business. It's no different with Shah Rukh.
I think after the last 3 years, John, particularly obviously when we were in lockdown, these figures are very important to the industry.
Well, the North anyway, because it was
worldwide.
The South.
Just as you mentioned, Nolan and Scorsese, and obviously the likes of
Barbie.
SRK. You need these figures to draw people back into the theatres. And it's important. And I think in terms of Pathan, I'll go back to it. It's a simple action film. This one's going to be a bit more complex. You can tell right away it's going to be maybe a bit more drama driven as well. I'm not saying it's a drama. I'm just thinking, I think the storyline's going to be a little bit more.
I mean, if you've got 5 different
complex,
variations of the character in a poster, it's almost like Split-esque shit with James McAvoy. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, it may be light and airy. They may handle. I don't know how they're choosing to handle this character. It looks like a guy or multiple guys. It's got something complex going on. And it pertains to the story.
I think as well, John, from our point of view, we've only seen one Shah Rukh Khan film at this moment in time. And I know maybe in 2-3 years' time we'll be rhyming off his back catalogue like we always do, because we do go down these journeys. But at the moment, this is a good film for us to really see his acting chops. How good is he? We've seen him in action. We've seen how good he is. Now we want to see him in all these different variations, these characters that he's going to be playing.
I do wonder if there's any reviews come in already, with it only being 3 days away. Usually you'll find the embargo will release as we get closer to the actual release date.
4.
4? Where did you see that? Jawan. Just see what we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
But of course they'll say, it's sycophants. They're just reviewing it high because it's, they're not reviewing it high, to be fair. Again, it might be haters. I don't know anything about these fucking publications. Here we go. Right, do you want me to read some of these?
Yeah, well, let's do it.
We'll just do an all-encompassing discussion of
Jawan. There's only 4, so...
Yeah, so we'll start with the Indian Express. I think that's probably a big publication. To be fair, they're speaking... no, they're not. It's just a name. Despite Sai Dharam Tej's best efforts, the film fizzles out. This is not the same film. 100% not the same film. 2017. It's definitely not the same film. So we'll just completely ignore that. I'm blaming Stephen for that. Stephen pointed me to that. So
but there is actually one there.
It's this one here. There's no reviews yet, so we're good. No embargo released as of yet. That's one with 2 A's. That's a totally different film.
3 under the bus there. Sorry, John.
Well, that one. To be fair, I mean, I've seen 4 reviews. I'm thinking, that makes sense. Clearly, Jawan with 2 A's was a travesty of a film. Because only 4 people could be asked fucking reviewing it.
I'll tell you something. In the video shot back in the day, that's the one my dad would have reached for. That's the one I wanted to see.
Yeah.
What?
What was it you said? Was it Independence Day or something?
It
or
was the
Apocalypse?
one with the meteor. What was that called again?
Fucking
Aerosmith singing a song.
Oh Jesus! What was
Ben
it called?
Affleck was in it. Don't wanna lose. I don't know.
Fucking I was about to say Apocalypse. Now it's
I can't
Marlon
remember
Brando.
what it was called.
I can't remember what it was called either.
It was.
Who was in
it?
it?
Was bad. Bruce Willis and
Bruce
Ben
Willis.
Affleck
Fucking had to be Bruce
and
Willis.
Liv Tyler.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah, there it is. Armageddon.
Armageddon.
Yeah. So he saw a Armageddon. It wasn't that one though. Yeah, Steve Buscemi, Will Patton. Yeah.
Armageddon.
Yeah.
TV movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be there. Yeah. Yeah. That fucking hell, 1982. Oh dear me.
It's actually good reviews to be fair.
John,
it's not bad.
I mean, I know we're going off on a tangent here, but you know how when you used to go to Global Video, which was our sort of blockbuster chain, there was a section that had these random films, wasn't
Holy
there?
shit. It's actually a better poster than the original. Or the other one. It's a fucking cool poster.
Yeah. What's that documentary?
It does.
Yeah.
It's actually not bad. He picked well.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Steen, I cut you off. Global Video.
Yeah, Global Video. I'm just saying, you know, you had this sort of section that had those films.
Yeah.
You know, it had The Great Escape 2.
I was drawn to like, the horror section. I always used to see Pinhead and it would haunt my nightmares. I've never seen a Hellraiser movie in my life. And I've got no desire. Halloween, I've seen Halloween when I was way too young.
A version without Michael Myers.
Yeah, the second
or
one.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
A Witches fucking something, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
the third one, yeah.
Dreadful.
Yeah, Season of the Witch.
Season
Nothing
of
to
the
do
Witch.
with anything. Yeah, I don't know what
clowns.
they're thinking. But that's the point I was making. You know, just when you saw that, obviously, Jawan with
Jawan with 2 A's.
2 A's, yeah. It has got 2 A's. But you're talking about one with 3 A's.
What's it?
Yeah.
What? Does that not get 1 A?
Well, Jawan's got 2 A's anyway, hasn't it?
Has it? I don't know.
Jawan. It's got 2
This
A's.
one's got... Oh, yeah, so it has. Yeah, Steve. I'm talking about the A between the W and the N.
Jawan.
Jawan. But Stephen, look, all in all, it's making history. It's 5 a.m. showings. This is great for the industry in the north of India, the Bollywood, the North Indian sort of, I don't know why to say that, in case there's multiple industries in the north of India. Fuck knows there probably is. But this is great for Bollywood because, as you did touch on, during the pandemic, the south of India, Kollywood, Tollywood, obviously Telugu and Tamil Nadu film industries, they were pushing the box office. They were the ones making big money, carrying the sort of Indian box office during the pandemic. People were flocking to showings. I remember it was like some Master came out, films like that.
What was it? Was it just because
I think down
areas
south
are more sparse?
Yeah, I think it's possibly the case. I think up the north of India there's a lot of more urban. I mean, I'm not saying Chennai's not a fucking huge.
Yeah, it's probably bigger than that.
You've got Hyderabad's like a fucking city of 3 million people.
Yeah, it's bigger than Scotland.
It's not going to sit here and say they're not fucking as populous, but I think up north
is
there's
probably
a
more
huge,
dense,
it's
isn't
very
it?
densely packed. So obviously the pandemic was a bigger issue. It was a big issue everywhere.
Yeah.
But also it was carnage up in the north of India, maybe more than the south. So people were less inclined to go to the theatres. This shows that it's recovered, and you've got big names like Shah Rukh putting movies out. People are buzzing and going and seeing it early doors in the day. So it's great news for Bollywood. It's great news for Shah Rukh. I'm looking forward to the movie.
Yeah, I can't wait, John. I think I'm going to go and see it in the cinema.
We really do have to go and watch a big Indian movie in the theatres. We've still not done it. I thought Triple R would have been the one, and having watched it on Netflix, I do regret not going to see that movie now in the theatres.
I mean,
because it would have been an
closest I've
experience.
came is obviously the Amir Khan film, the Forrest Gump remake one.
The closest because you were in the theatre watching another movie.
No, I was just in Silverburn. I wasn't even in the fucking theatre. I was just walking by. That's the closest I've came. But John, I'm telling you, the actual Indian community turned out for that. I was, absolutely
fucking great,
gobsmacked.
Stephen.
Yeah.
What a line that was. The closest I came was walking through the shopping centre
The
where there
mall,
was a theatre attached.
I'm not going to
Just
say.
swam
Yes,
to the
I was in the theatre next door, you know, looking at some artistic fucking French film.
Do you know what I mean?
I was actually probably just going to
fucking Five Guys or Wagamama or something like that.
Probably not even.
Or the Donner place.
Probably. Nah, I don't even think it was that. It's probably.
I need to go to that Donner place.
Probably Primark or something.
Primark. Fuck, going to Silverburn to go to Primark.
It's during the day as well.
Fucking
you know,
hell.
it's just absolutely jam packed.
No, but Stan, you do make a good point. We've got a huge Indian community over here, and they do. We've seen this. The movies get into the box office regularly, top 10 of the box office, make big money. So it shows that there is a community there, and I would love to go and watch it and experience a big Indian release with the Indian community we've got, just to see how they actually enjoy the cinema. If they get into it as much as perhaps, I don't know, Americans get into comic book movies. Because every region of the world seems to do cinema differently. I don't know if we have just dured them down and made them fucking boring like all other Scottish people are, where we sit in the theatres and we eat popcorn, sit silently like mutes doing nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a funny bit. That was quite funny, wasn't it? So it'd be good to see if we have actually nullified the culture out of the Indian community, or whether they actually do go in it and experience it the way they do in the subcontinent.
I thought when we went to see Spider-Man No Way Home, I thought that was probably the closest sampling of emotions that we would get in a theatre in Scotland, and it's pretty hyped, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hello, Sin.
Hello, Sin. Welcome in. I'd love to know what that mystery screener is. How do you get screeners, Sin? Do tell, because I think I actually ask that, but over here I think I know how to get them, because it literally tells you in Cineworld.
Right,
you go in, sign up for unlimited, and you can get the chance of going and watching screeners in advance. So it literally fucking tells you, unlimited, you can watch the movies in advance.
We used to get digital screeners, but
we did, yeah.
Kind of kiboshed that ourselves.
Yes, we did by not reviewing them.
Yeah, for a very good reason. I think it's safe to say, John, that we actually passed one to one of our chaps, and they didn't know how to tackle it at all.
No, they
and
didn't.
I didn't blame them, John, because I watched a bit of this film. I can't remember what it's called, and I could
Steve,
not.
I watched the first 2 minutes.
It
was an elevator.
I cannot. I see what you mean. You can't write a review on this
because it has no story.
Yeah,
and it is worse than fucking River City acting. So yeah, some people are not cut out to be actors, and it just really does reaffirm in your mind how good the likes of Shah Rukh Khan are at their craft when you see lesser mortals trying to do it.
I don't want to speak for you, John, but Sin, if you're up for it, this Christmas Wonka is coming out. Perhaps maybe we can do something with that film's release, maybe a review or something like that. Because it's been a while.
Is there anything else coming
out?
It's
almost 2 years since we've did a review with Sin, and I've really enjoyed it. Good discussion that night, John.
Yeah, if we do get Sin back on the channel, I'll have to make sure the audio issues the last time, if I remember correctly. And it was down to me. Movie release dates. I want to see something here.
Yeah.
What is coming out at Christmas? Am I going to get it to load?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Deathly silence.
This fucking internet is doing my head in.
Yeah. I'm conscious we're doing a podcast here.
We are.
We can't have
silence
too many,
for too long. Yes,
dead air, as they call it back in the day.
But Stephen Jawan, Regal Cinema, by the way, they do a Mystery Monday. Sin said so.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, we need to get into that.
We don't have any.
Whatever
Regal Cinemas over here, I think, are Odeon.
Right. Okay.
Odeon.
Right. Okay. Odeon's not.
I've never been in an Odeon ever.
Yeah.
No, I have.
Yeah, you saw Revenge of Sith.
Not an Odeon Lux though, where it's the full blown Dolby Atmos surround sound. And
I didn't think about that. I went Revenge of
the Sith.
That Sith?
Yes.
Revenge of Sith.
That was one of the greatest theatres in Scottish history. So much history steeped into that building. The Beatles had performed there and everything.
Yeah.
And they turned it into fucking offices.
Yeah. What's that all about?
But I've never been to an Odeon Lux. Big cream leather seats and Dolby surround. And there's a reason why I've not been to Odeon Lux, because it's so fucking expensive.
Yeah.
It is a joke. It's like £40 for a ticket.
For luxury, yeah.
Yeah, they can shove their luxury up their arse. I'll go to fucking Cineworld and watch it in IMAX for £20.
What's the other one we going? The one in Hamilton?
View.
That's good as
View's
well.
decent,
I like
but
View.
it's not.
No.
It's not IMAX.
No, definitely not.
It's good.
Anything else to say, John, before we move on?
Look forward to the film. Delighted for Shah Rukh that once again he's slapping all those haters down, both figuratively and literally.
Yeah.
When they say that, it's just him. He's
living off his past
glory. Off his past glory. This, that. Film's not that good. Well, it is because it's made money, Patan, and now this one's making even more money.
Yeah.
Sit down
and shut
bitch.
up. We're going to move on.
What was that Kendrick Lamar song that Tiago Home quoted on Instagram, then had to delete the tweet? Stay humble, something like that. Sit down, bitch. I can't remember. It's from a song. I loved it.
Anyway,
Other people were all butthurt about it.
we're going to move on, John, to our next topic, and it's all about Toy Story 5's rumoured character return has internet furious over disservice to Toy Story 3's ending. Cut to the chase. Andy is a character we're talking about here. Andy, keep your arm up, Andy.
Andy.
Andy, you nuts. Anyway, I'm not talking about that. We're talking about Toy Story 5,
I guess I
John.
just missed my
I don't know. Yeah, is that Woody saying that? John, have you spoke about Toy Story 5 at all in any of your solo shows?
No, I didn't know what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I found out about this, I think, the other day, and I was like, what are they doing, you know?
Look at
I've
the
seen
forehead on Andy.
Toy
What's
Story,
happened?
the original film, John, came out in 1995. How scary is that?
Yeah.
Toy Story 2, fantastic. I think it was 5-6 years later, and then obviously 2010, I want to say 2009 or something like that. Toy Story 3. I stopped at that. I didn't see Toy Story 4.
I seen Toy Story 4 and I didn't like it.
You went to the cinema, didn't you, to see it?
I didn't like it.
I didn't see, even with Keanu Reeves in there as Duke Kaboom.
No,
wasn't
I wasn't having
interested because I loved the way Toy Story 3
It was an
ended.
alright film. I'm not saying it was shit.
Yeah.
It didn't resonate for me.
So, yeah, Toy Story 5, this is the rumour that is in the works. And one of the rumours, although nothing has been
Look
confirmed.
at the forehead that Andy has.
Yeah, I know.
That was like me when I had hair.
But on
is bigger.
Twitter, while these
Fuck me.
reports are currently unsubstantiated, what is that word? And have not,
Unsubstantiated.
that's the word, yeah, and have not been confirmed by Disney. Several critics took to Twitter, X, to express their disappointment at the Toy Story 5 possibility. And this is the image here,
Nicholas.
John. Yeah. Nicholas
Half-5.
is Nicholas, yeah. So what's the point of the ending to Toy Story 3? That is a good question. What is the point? Because Toy Story 3 was a perfect film in my book. It really was. It was fantastic, emotional. The end of the line for all these characters, and the end of the relationship between Woody and Andy as well.
And that's why I didn't like Toy Story 4, because it almost retconned that, and it added an extra chapter that wasn't necessary for these characters.
Force Awakens.
Yeah, exactly, Stephen. They closed it off perfectly with Toy Story 3. If it remained a trilogy, it was one of the greatest cinematic trilogies ever made. And you could almost make the argument that the first one was probably the worst of the three, because I personally think it get better.
Yeah,
and the third one is the best for me. Just that emotional sort of ending where they're holding hands going into that furnace.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah,
it's a stunning film. It should have ended there. They brought the fourth one out and it just felt tacked on, and it felt like it was a slap in the face. Other people may disagree. It's been a while since I've seen it. I'm going to actually search it up.
The fourth film, John. Well, you touched on it there in terms of a perfect trilogy, and sometimes even the audience know the end of the line. They know when you can't. You don't want them to carry on, although as much as you love the franchise, you love the characters. You just know when it comes to that perfect ending and everything's wrapped up, and the whole point of it was the growth of the characters and the relationships and how they grew. And especially with Woody and Andy, obviously partner of ways. Andy's he's going off to college, I think it was.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just a partner of ways. He's grown up, and it's time for a new chapter with these toys. And I get they did that. They did that with the fourth film, but we didn't have to see that.
No,
it was already. Annie Potts is Bo Peep. She's great.
Yeah, she came back. Yeah, she came back. The fourth
John, I'm
one,
watching Young Sheldon just now. She's fantastic in it. She plays Mimo. Fantastic.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, Toy Story 4, they end up going to a toy store, and it's like a fucking doll and a pram, and it's almost all horror-esque. There's like horror elements to it for young kids, not for an adult watching it. But he's almost like he is trying to take the hand of Forky. He's like a spork. It's like a spoon come fork, and show him that, look, it's important to just appreciate and readily accept what life throws at you, what your sort of owner, your person that owns you, and you're the toy to, what they throw at you, and just as long as they're using you and sort of showering love on you, then you should appreciate it, because he's obviously not got that anymore. And I think there's a partner of ways at the end of the film, and there's the likes of Bo Peep decide they want to become, have owners again, if you'd like, become a toy of a new family. And I think the likes of Woody, they go off with a separate group and don't want to. They want to live this sort of independent life. I may have swept that the other way. switched that about. Maybe the opposite. He may have went to another family. I can't remember.
Yeah, I know what you mean though.
It wasn't for me. It just, you can see there, man. It's got great scores on Rotten Tomatoes as you'd expect. But
yeah, but it's the sequel no one needed or no one wanted, I should say. You know, and again, it's like, you know, you get into these films after seeing a perfect end, and you get nervous because you're going, how will this affect my experience for the previous film? Because I've got really good memories of that film, how I felt when I watched that, how emotional it was, how I was attached to these characters, and I weaned myself off the characters, you know, in relation to them, and now they're bringing them back, and everything that happened with my own personal experience of that last film is sort of washed away. And John, I'll go back to Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Kevin was very nervous getting into The Force Awakens. What if it's not any good?
Yeah.
You know, how will this affect my enjoyment of Return of the Jedi? John, how much have you watched the original trilogy since the sequel trilogy?
I've not.
That's had an effect on you, I think.
Yeah, I've not watched it since, which is shocking because I usually watched it every year.
Yeah.
It has been a while. And it definitely did, Stephen.
That's why I stopped at Toy Story 3. I can't watch Toy Story 4.
Stephen, there's a very interesting review here from, I mean, I don't know who the fuck they are, Bianca Garner in their own league, but she's hit the nail on the head. The problem with Toy Story 4. No, is it that? It may not even be that, actually. I may be talking shit. No, it was David Gonzalez, and it's pertinent to this actual topic we're speaking about just now. I found myself sobbing at the film's conclusion. It's Toy Story 4. I wasn't sobbing. Because while Toy Story 3 felt like the conclusion to everyone's story, Toy Story 4 showed us it was only Andy's story, and that was complete. The Toy Story concluded with this film. Well, it didn't, because they're bringing the 5th instalment out, and they're going to bring Andy back.
I think
so. It shits on the two movies.
I think perhaps maybe they could have retitled the 4th one. Don't call it Toy Story 4, and then it's not tacked onto the trilogy.
Yeah.
Because they could have called it something else. They could have. I get, obviously, in terms of marketing and as a franchise, it's probably the kiss of death doing that, rebranding it something else. But you see it in films like prequels and sequels to Alien films where they've just changed the name completely. Yeah. They don't tack on Alien or anything like that.
Don't mention Alien to me, by the way.
And it doesn't work.
Alien.
You know, it just doesn't work. So sometimes you have to have that label in there, John. You have to have that brand in their Toy Story. I get it, but I think the fact they called it Toy Story 4, it's all right saying, yes, it's not Andy's story, but it's obviously the story of the toys and how.
But no, it's going to be Andy's story again because they're bringing Andy back and the family back, and it just feels forced. The whole thing feels forced. There is no need for a Toy Story 5. You've got 3 great movies, one tacked on that it's probably Marmite. I mean, it's not a bad movie, it's unnecessary for me.
Yeah.
There is no real need to bring a 5th instalment of Toy Story out. It's completely OTT over the. It's useless. You fucking bring it out. Just leave it in the drawing board. Don't make it happen. Quit on it. Done. I don't want to hear about it. I can't believe it's happening. I didn't know until tonight that this was a thing. Yeah. Until you actually sent the actual story over, I'm like, what? They're doing a Toy Story 5?
Yeah.
What the fuck are they doing?
I think I might have read it on Friday when I was looking for other topics, and I thought I'm not really sure how I feel about talking about that one, but I thought this was more interesting because of the.
Well, it's interesting, Steve.
Because talking about the character coming back, because there is more to sort of delve into with that rather than just talking about Toy Story 5.
I suppose you could reframe the whole story by it's a new generation. Andy's grown up. He's got kids now. How new generations of kids interact with toys, how it differs from him when he was a kid. Maybe the sort of low attention span of modern day generations and how that impacts on the toys and how they are played with and stuff like that, and how they feel with their owners, the kids that are using them, playing with them. I suppose there is a scope for a story there, but that's fucking Exposure though. He says, who was that guy who made a big long passionate video essay about why Toy Story 4 sucks? Because I feel like a lot of people owe him an apology. I agree, man. They're really just about to retcon the Toy Story finale for the 3rd time, and just if the toys end up with Andy's kids, aren't they? Yeah, I tell you one thing I do like though, Stephen, and I'm never adverse to hearing it, although I can just go and actually watch the other movies to hear it. That song, You've Got a Friend.
Yeah.
It's just that takes me back to being a child. See, as soon as I hear that, I'm a kid again. It's fucking mad the way music works. I've said this many times. There was a great song came out. It was your own band who sung about pumped up kicks or some shit like that. I think it might not even be them. But this, I can't remember. Bloody Face or something. My name's Bloody Face and I don't care what you think or some shit like that. It was a good song, was beige, but there was a good line where he basically sung about him and his brother creating a fragrance that from their childhood that takes them back to when they were a kid, but it won't sell well because it's only really important to those two.
Yeah.
And it's true. Scents and music take you back. They're transformative. They transport you back in time to when you were in different places, and you're immediately like, I remember what I was doing when that song was out. I remember what
you talk about
like.
that scent, John. In
mad.
some way, Toy Story 5 feels like that. Whoever came up with the idea of making a Toy Story 5 is thinking about obviously nostalgia on their sort of perspective and thinking that's a good idea, and the rest of the world's going, no, it's not. It's not. It's terrible.
It really is. It shouldn't have happened unless there's just some unbelievable, brilliant spark came out with some brilliant writer and they can make it really pop. But I just can't, for the life of me, conjure up any way in which a fifth Toy Story movie makes sense and can get anywhere near the level of the first three movies. I just can't see it. This franchise is already showing signs of diminishing returns. It's got worse since the third. And I can't see any way where it goes back up.
It peaked, that's why, John. It peaked in the third film.
It's because it's a trilogy.
Yeah.
And there's a reason trilogies are a thing. Because you get in, you tell a story, and it reaches its natural conclusion after about 3 movies.
And the most important message I got from Toy Story 3 was that, you know,
look
in
at
life,
Fast and Furious franchise.
in life, you have to move on. In life, you have to move on. You know, but Toy Story 4 came out and life's all about standing still, apparently.
Well, I mean, the life moved on for the toys, to be fair. They did go on a new journey, but it's not for me. So we're just dunking. It's extremely unpopular, Stephen.
Yeah.
And this may actually affect the movie's production and potential of actually seeing the light of day. Because if people are not interested and there's a real backlash on social media and it's actually representative of the greater view of the general audience going to watch a movie, if it's not going to make money, then they're not going to put it out. We've already seen expensive flops in the last 6 months. Flash, Indiana Jones. I was about to say Mission Impossible, but I think it's creaked over just about a decent figure. But movies haven't been making the money required to be successful. And it's a Toy Story movie. You're going to have to promote it. It's going to cost money to promote it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be cheap to make because it's Pixar, isn't it? So it's going to be big fucking box office required to make this movie a success.
Got to get Hanks and obviously
got to pay them as well.
Tim Allen back as well.
They're not cheap.
No, definitely not.
Let me tell you.
I don't know who else would come back. I can't imagine Keanu Reeves would come back. I can't imagine
Nah.
it. I don't think they might want to introduce that character again to a fifth film because of the whole Evel Knievel copyright thing that was happening at the time. I'm not sure. It wasn't it? It was an absolute carbon copy.
Yeah, it was. It absolutely was, Stephen. Stephen, I don't know about Pixar though as well, man. Pixar are a funny one for me. I just don't think they're as great as they were back in the day either.
Yeah, I mean, there was a novelty to the sort of effects that they were producing at that time. They were very advanced. You know, nothing we'd seen before in terms of the sort of 3D modelling that you saw in the first Toy Story film, which was obviously amazing to see. But since then, we've had films like The Incredibles, etc. have all come out, and it's a standard thing now. You know, you're not sort of seduced by the sort of gimmick of it now. It's just became the norm.
Even the storytelling was, there's some epic stories being told by Pixar. Dual sort of stories. You've got a superficial one for the kids, but you've got a multi-demographic story for the more mature viewer underneath, where it can resonate with multiple people, different age ranges. And I don't know, man. I mean, I've not watched a Pixar movie in a couple of years, to be fair, so I'm maybe talking absolute shite. I know you've seen, was it Encanto? The other one about the jazz thing or something. I don't know if you've seen that one. They put a few out.
Yeah.
Was it Soul or something like that?
Soul, yeah.
You had the jazz.
Was that Pixar, yeah?
I think that was Pixar, yeah. You had the mad
didn't
jazz
realise
one.
Yeah.
And Encanto, I think, is another one. I've not seen any of these movies.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but for me, I don't think they're quite like what they were back 20 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Since Disney.
But we'll just have to see how it goes. If they're bringing Andy back, I don't think it's the best move, but I don't think making the film is a good move either. Regardless of who they bring back, even if they brought back They'll have to bring back Woody.
We're going to bring back
Buzz,
Slinky Dog.
Yeah.
That may be enough
and
to get me
Rex,
in the theatre, to be fair.
But I mean,
just play that song and get Slinky Dog in and back.
We'll just have to see how it goes. But I don't think I'll be going to see it because I've not seen the fourth one. So
you'll be there, Steve, because you've got 2 young kids and they'll force you.
No, I'll not be
Well,
willing.
By that point.
Yeah, I don't think my oldest
I was
likes
about to
Toy
say that.
Story. I don't think she's interested in it at all. She's never been interested in it. I don't know why.
It's generation, isn't it? A generational thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you grew up, and obviously if you're a kid in the mid-90s, I think you get that sort of...
I'm still bitter because I never did get a Buzz Lightyear toy because they were gold dust and I wanted one.
Can imagine.
Could not get them anywhere.
Yeah, but worth a
Woody
fortune now.
Woody was shit.
Especially the first editions of those toys, they'll be worth an absolute fortune.
Even though, man, it's a cool fucking bit of merchandising, isn't it? It's just got a vibe to it. It's cool as hell.
But we're going to move on, John, to our final topic, and it is music news. And we're going back. See
what I did with this here?
Yeah, it's
had to get
huge
creative.
search launched for legendary bass guitar.
Had to get creative with that topic bar. I couldn't get the actual headline from here in.
We're talking about Paul McCartney, and we're talking about his legendary
McCharley.
1961 Höfner bass, John, guitar. Höfner guitar, it's a bass. Just say bass.
My name's Paul and I play bass.
This is coming from an independent.
My name's John and I play a guitar.
The instrument used on some of the Beatles' most loved hits disappeared in the 60s. A lot of people probably assume the one that he still performs with is the original one. It's not.
Nope.
It's not. It looks like it. He's even got the little bassman.
He had to.
Bassman badge.
Bassman.
That little sticker he's got on it. It says bassman.
Well, he had a Fender Bassman, didn't he? That was the name of the guitar, the amp.
Yeah.
I think he had a Bassman because he played it on the rooftop for sure.
Yeah. And I had the little sort of badge.
I actually think they plugged into the basement to play some of the guitar songs as well because it had, I don't know, something about the sound.
Yeah. So, this obviously belonged to Paul McCartney and played on the recordings of Love Me Do, She Loves You, Twist and Shout. As the subject of a worldwide search, the Beatles star original's Höfner bass guitar has been described as the most important bass in history by the Lost Bass Project, which has launched the hunt. McCartney bought the instrument in 1961 for £30, which is $38, in Hamburg, Germany, but it went missing 8 years later. Yeah, certainly. The musician has urged manufacturers Höfner to track down his instrument, prompting the global search. McCartney collaborator Nick Wass has written a book about the missing instrument. It's heading up the search project and has teamed up with 2 journalists in trying to solve the rock and roll mystery. Wass told the BBC that he presumed the guitar was put away after the Beatles finished filming Get Back in 1969. It's not clear where it was stored, who might have been there, he said. For most people, they will remember it. It's the bass that made the Beatles. The instrument can be seen in the Get Back, the Peter Jackson documentary that was released in 2021. The stolen guitars of the musicians have sold for millions in the past. John Lennon's that he used to write I Want to Hold Your Hand was taken during the band's Christmas show at Finsbury Park, went for $2.4 million. That's £1.9 million.
Yeah, was that the Gibson semi-acoustic?
I think it was, yeah.
Acoustic electric one? Because they both had one, didn't they? George had one and John had one.
Yeah, it's the one. Yeah, the one he uses
one for stole out of the
help
studio
and stuff like that. Yeah, when it resurfaced 50 years after it vanished. So I mean, there is a possibility, John. I mean, that resurfaced after 5 decades.
Yeah,
so
it'll be out there.
It's not a lost cause, I would say. Obviously, how to spot fakes. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just one of these things. I don't really know too much about how it went missing.
I didn't realise it was that late. I felt he had 2 and 1 went missing.
Yeah. And
it was a lot sooner in the actual evolution of the band or the journey of the band and what they're saying, because they're saying it can be seen in the Get Back documentary.
Yeah. I mean, I know he used the Rickenbacker bass 67.
Yeah, he changed it up, didn't he, a bit?
And I never liked it. It was always a Höfner. I always identified Macca with it during his Beatles period. You know, it's such an iconic instrument. It's such a unique looking instrument as well, almost violin-esque. And it just suits his...
It's got a lovely resonance to it as well. You can hear it in the leaks off paperback right. It just resonates. You can feel it.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well. You know,
you can feel all bass, but
when you watch the anthology or whatever, when they're talking about who's going to play bass and John and George saying, well, it's not me, you know, and Macca just stepped up. I think actually John did say, and he went for it, and he did.
Yeah.
He certainly did with that instrument. Absolutely mastered
And
the craft.
to me, you can take your John Entwistles and guys like that, and you can try and say they're the best, but you'd be wrong, because he's the best bassist
I
that's ever
think
lived.
if he was in the background, like a John Deacon John,
Yeah.
you would regard him as the best bass player in the world. But I think his persona and his whole act, with a big act.
Yeah.
I think, I think that's why people don't really see him as a bass player, which is crazy because that's what he was in the Beatles. But he's more than that. That's what I'm trying to
No,
say.
he's a 40-50 instrumental
Yeah.
musician. One of the greatest, if not the greatest, songwriters of all time. The greatest pop melodist of all time. Just a fucking genius. One of the greatest vocal ranges. But he's also the greatest bass player that ever lived as well. You just have to listen to his playing.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I used to think that George played on Old Brown Shoe,
Brown
and
Shoe,
it's
yeah.
still a mystery. I think he maybe did, but I'm leaning to Macca. It's just something about it. You can tell, man. I mean, I think George tried to claim it. I'm not having it.
Yeah, no.
I'm not having it. That
The songs in their own, aren't they, when you think
They are.
about it,
I mean, you can. Stephen, we've done it. We've done literal quizzes where you guess the song
Yep.
based on the instrument, and these bass lines are iconic. They're just incredible. They're simple when they need to be simple. You think of Get Back. They're complex when they have to be complex. You think of something.
Now, my memory might be let me down here, John, but in terms of the Get Back documentary, was he not kind of working on Get Back on the bass?
On the bass, yeah, it was like
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it came about, wasn't it? Yeah.
Sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
And it's just, Stephen, that's one of the most fascinating things about that documentary, having an insight. I mean, we kind of knew it anyway because we've seen in Falsey, we've heard them talk about it a million times over the last 5 decades or whatever. The way that they did, obviously brainstorm and sort of jam together to come up with songs, but to actually see it happening in hours of footage, them sitting there and constructing these songs that are legendary now, everybody knows them, and them just building it bit by bit. But Get Back, man, it felt like it came together in a day.
Yeah, it was amazing.
He was sitting in a chair, he got the rhythm down, boom, the melody, whatever, the bass.
On the bass. I mean, it's not the first instrument you think of when you're composing a song off the top
Like
of
a
your
piano
head.
or a guitar.
Exactly, yeah. An acoustic, yeah. Not
He's
a bass.
done it on the bass.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And that's why I just wish there was more footage from the early days, the likes of Please Please Me, that era, where they were doing albums and
It's funny, John, because I've seen clips, black and white clips of them in Abbey Road.
I'd love to see it.
You know, when they're, I think you see Ringo and Paul doing the clapping hands thing.
Yeah.
You see all that. So there is footage.
Yeah.
Where it came from, I don't know. I don't know who's filming it.
Could you imagine they shot the whole album, getting those albums?
Yeah.
I mean, I would lose myself in that for weeks.
Yep.
Just watching that back to back. It'd be incredible. We'd get a little hint at it and help. I think it was, God, what was the song again?
You're
Where they were
gonna
in the
lose that
studio.
girl, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to lose that.
Kind of
girl,
smoking, and it's just the silhouettes. Also, they're cutting the fucking floor out, aren't they?
Yeah.
I want to
The
see that.
Sacrificial Ring. Yeah.
I love that film.
Yeah.
I really do.
I've seen
See when
it
they go
twice
into
in the
that
last 2
terrace,
weeks. Yeah.
those terrace houses, they're all joined.
Yeah.
Just something about it. He's coming up from the little platform thing. I just love it. I love that film. It's just, it's zany, it's mental. They were out their minds in fucking marijuana, but it was great. But this bass, Stephen, it'll pop up, it'll be out there somewhere. I mean, it just really depends on whether some shyster stole it and it's sitting in an attic somewhere, or whether it's been sold on the black market and it's now in some incredibly rich Chinese guy's fucking vault. But it will pop up somewhere, and it will sell for an absolute bomb. And I mean, if those guitars were selling for like 1.9 million, that bass, I mean, the guitar was, I mean, it's iconic. It's those electroacoustic guitars, the Sunburst Gibson.
Yeah.
I forget the name of them. I used to know it, but I forgot it now. I tried to buy one. Not a fucking Gibson, no, an Epiphone, come on. Not that rich. Not rich at all. Fucking wish I was. I'd have all the guitars, including Lennon's triple pickup, Rickenbacker. Little 3/4 length one. I just love to fucking play that. It just looks glorious to play. There's a little guy got one. All the guitars on YouTube, and I envy him. He's a young geezer.
Yeah.
Don't know how fucking tall he is. He maybe taller than me. I don't know. But you just look at the fretboard, and it just looks a breeze to play. The action is perfect. It's as low as it can possibly be. It just looks so good to play. So fucking good. and I'd love to get my hands on a Rickenbacker. They're incredible instruments. But that
what do you
Höfner's
think,
iconic.
But what do you think the plan would be for this, to be back in the hands of Paul, or do you think it would be
it'd end up
to a
in
museum?
a museum, Stephen.
Yeah, it has to be.
He's got one. He's got a Höfner bass. He's probably got multiple now. I mean, he definitely had two. I know he had two for sure back in the day.
Yeah.
So he's got one that's probably as old as that. It's not the original, but it's been about nearly as long. He's got his Rickenbacker. He's got multiple instruments that are iconic. He's got fucking young man from Elvis's band.
Yeah, the Bill Black. Yeah.
He's got the Mellotron thing from Strawberry Fields. He's got all these instruments.
I think he's got the organ as well that was used in We Can Work It Out. Because I think that was used on
Has he not got the
Real Life as
piano
well.
from the Strawberry Fields video where they were painting it?
I'm not sure.
I think he may have that.
Yeah, probably. I think he did say that a lot of the sort of equipment that it was in Abbey Road at EMI Studios, that it was called at the time, were getting rid of it. They were having a clear out, and he said, "I'll take them."
Yeah, of course.
That's why he's got all the stuff in his house. Yeah, I would as well.
Right.
I'm clinging on to the hope, John, that obviously with Lennon's guitar turning up 50 years after it vanished, there is a possibility it is still out there, still intact, and it is getting looked after. Fingers crossed, it's still. You know, it's been cherished. It's not just been thrown in some loft somewhere and forgotten about.
Yeah.
And nobody knows where it is. I hope that's not the case.
Travesty, because it's such an iconic instrument, and it's responsible for creating some of the best music that's ever came and will ever come. But Steve, just briefly touching on what you says about George and John not wanting to play the bass, also Stuart Sutcliffe, wasn't it? Was his name?
Yeah.
I thought I was saying a serial killer name there. Because that's a very serial killer name, that, isn't it? I know he was a good guy, you know that. I take that back immediately, but his name, I get the feeling there was a Sutcliffe. It was a mass murderer.
There was, yeah.
Was there?
Yeah.
I thought that. Also, when he passed away, that void was there. He was never a fucking musician anyway, let's be honest. He was an artist. But there was just something, and it just sums the Beatles up for me. It was just meant to be. Just everything about them, the height of your three main guys in the band, and that's not me being disparaging to Ringo, but he sat back, so his height wasn't important. Them all being about the same size, and the symmetry of them, the two right-handed guitar players and the left-handed bass, it was just meant to be. It's just everything you think of the Beatles, you think of the logo, you
That's
think
why
of the
it's
drum
stuck George
kit.
in the middle, wasn't it?
Yeah. And just the way they sung, people have spoke about that. Why did they only have two microphones and they'd do their harmonies together? It just worked, man. The symmetry, everything about the band was special.
Paul and George's harmonies were fantastic.
Oh yeah,
They
they were,
really
man.
were, yeah.
George is underrated. His harmonies, but his voice, I know it went a bit. His voice went a bit raggedy in the 70s when he was.
He never had the strongest of voices to begin with, John. But I think
fucking hit some high notes, man.
in the 60s, definitely that was his sort of peak in his 20s. Obviously, smoking had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was overusing his vocals, his vocal cords as well in the 70s.
He certainly was,
drinking hot lemon drinks and stuff like that. But I mean, it'll be very interesting. I hope it all ends well. I hope they find it. You know, and it's. I hope Macca gets reunited with it before it goes in any sort of museum. You know, just to be reunited with that instrument, because it's a big part of his life. It's a big part of all our lives when you think about it. But obviously, on a personal level, you know, this was the bass that started it all. And there's a lot of history connected to it as well.
Absolutely.
Important history.
Steve, it's rock and roll as well. It's a rock and roll fucking gold mine. Let's be honest.
Rock and roll, but I like it.
Only rock and roll, but I like it. Like it. Yes, I do, because I like it. I like it.
The Beatles in sailor suits. Yeah.
That foam coming up, man. What a video.
What
a video. Crash. Bang. Wallop. What a video. Oh dear. Yeah, but it was a video.
Yeah.
Charlie Watts, man, getting just consumed by that fucking those bubbles. And he's like that. Trying to play. Also wasn't playing. The Stones were great as well, they were, but they just weren't as good as the Beatles, let's be honest. I don't think that's me doing a disservice. The Stones were great. And a large part of it was down to the dynamic.
Stones didn't have the Yorkshire Ripper as the bass player. Yeah.
They didn't. No. Is that what it was? Is that what that name is? It's coming back now. It was. What was his first name? Peter. I thought that. The Stephen Urack came into my head there before you even said it. That's the worrying thing. How do I know these fuckers?
Yeah.
To be fair, he's a infamous figure over here, isn't he? Was he not a shyster? Was that not a Geordie? It's a bit of a shyster. He wasn't really, was he? I think he was just a chancer. Or was that the real one, and the Geordie guy was just throwing him off throwing him for a loop
I don't know.
by phoning in and like, taunting the investigators? I think that's what the story was. I don't know. I've seen something about it back in the day. Doesn't matter. It's not pertinent to this discussion.
No.
At all. Going to round it up.
Please.
Hopefully Macca gets his bass back.
Yes.
And then it goes to a museum where we can all go and look at it. With the suit and the John Swed jacket, amazing jacket
Yeah.
from Revolver, currently sits, and you get the little weirdos going up and checking his inside leg and stuff like that. Fucking Quayhawks. What's your thoughts on Shah Rukh Khan's Jawan making Bollywood history by being the first movie, according to this mob, Bollywood Life? Don't come to us if it's not true. Just reading what they fucking said. To release in the theatres at 5am, 5am screenings. Will you go and watch this movie at 5am? My God, that is dedication. If you do, share your thoughts down below about the movie, about the release times, about the success potentially of Jawan, about Shah Rukh Khan. Down below in the comment section is a place to put your thoughts. What do you make about Toy Story 5? Should it happen? Should they bring Andy and his family back? Are they just shitting on top of sort of cinematic royalty in the Toy Story trilogy? I don't even recognise Toy Story 4. Share your thoughts down below about that. Should it happen? Should it not happen? Finally, thoughts on James Paul McCartney. I'll give him his full name. And his Höfner bass. There is a search underway for the lost Höfner bass that made music truly special. One of the many facets that made the Beatles special. It was a big facet, that bass resonating in your ear. And if you were one of the lucky few screamers resonating in your very body and soul, if you'd like, because we've been there, Stephen, we've felt Macca's bass.
Yeah.
My fucking chest was resonating with his bass. So I felt it. Not that Höfner,
Paperback
but another
writer,
Höfner.
Yeah.
What?
Paperback writer. Yeah.
Paperback writer it was.
Yeah.
You could actually feel the bass.
Yeah.
It was fucking glorious. Macca, please come back one last time, mate. I have to see you one last time before you.
Don't make it the Hydro though. Make it a stadium.
Make it Hampden.
Yeah.
And we'll get better seats this time. So make that happen. But look, I digress. What's your thoughts on that, man? Share your thoughts down below about that. Anything you feel compelled to share can go down below in the comment section. As ever, that's the place to put your thoughts. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon. Get notifications straight to your eyeballs. Follow button over on Twitch. Whatever the fuck the notification thing is on Twitch. I've not done it in a while. I just watch the same 5 people. Like us on Spotify podcast. Follow us over there if you're hearing us in audio. All that's left to be said though is until the next time, thank you for watching. Thank you for Sin to coming in. Thank you to Sin for coming in and commenting. And until the next time, me and Stephen are done. Bye bye.